Hi there, this is Jeanette for Whimsy Stamps. Today I have a new spring themed card to share with you. I am using the March Clear Stamp Release Hello Spring Birds for my card. It's a nice, clean and simple card. The images were colored up with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, which I think the vibrancy of these markers is perfect for this whimsical sort of style of images and card. And I used a paper that I just purchased. This is the Strathmore Bristol Smooth Surface paper. It's been around for a little bit of time. I've heard a lot about it. And I decided to use it for my coloring, and I'll talk a little bit more about it later. But right now I am just taking my anti-static tool, brushing it over this paper. This is going to serve as the card front for my card. So I'm positioning the stamps exactly where I want them to be. You're going to see that I'm using a magnet. This is sort of a new purchase for me. I saw Jennifer McGuire using this magnet with her Misty, and it seems to do the job very well of holding the paper in place so it doesn't budge at all. So I'm really happy with that purchase. So I'm using some archival black ink here, and I will be stamping it. It ended up 3 times was the amount of times I needed to stamp this so that I got a really nice crisp dark impression. So that's why having the Misty and this new magnet was perfect for me. So what I'm going to do after I've stamped it is I'm going to actually just sprinkle some clear embossing powder right over it, and then tap off the excess and then heat the embossing powder with my embossing tool. Now what this does is it gives me a really nice dark impression of the image, as well as a slightly raised impression, so that when I go to watercolor it, it's going to help me stay in the lines. So it's a nice way of doing it. I don't like using black embossing powder because if you do get some stray powder on your paper, it shows up. So using the black ink with the clear embossing powder, I think is the perfect sort of combination. So I'm going to be listing all the marker colors that I'm using on the screen as I'm using them, and you can see how beautifully the markers are blending on this paper. I've had some nice results with my Zig Clean Color marker with other watercolor papers, but I had heard that this particular paper, the Strathmore Bristol, was really amazing for the markers, and I have to say it is. I really like it. I think I will always be using this paper now for my Zig markers because I really love how the colors blend on this paper and how much easier it is to achieve the look you want. I did end up going outside the lines on the leg, so I just took a clean paintbrush and dabbed at the area with the paintbrush and dabbed at it again with a paper towel, and I was able to remove the orange color. So I'm going to move on to the next bird. I'm going to be using the same colors to color him up, again with this sort of combination of 3 marker colors. And again, I was like really just so impressed with how well this was all blending. It was really fun to do. So this is like a sort of flesh colored marker that I'm using to do the blend, but you can see by the time I blend the orange and the yellow together, it looks less flesh toned and more light yellow. I found too that this was so much faster for some reason with the paper. The paper also doesn't pile, which is really one of the problems I was having with other papers was that the more I went over it, the paper would pile up a little bit, and this paper doesn't pile at all, or at least it hasn't yet in my experience. So I'm going to do the other little legs here in this orange color. Then I'm going to move on to the bird bath itself, and for the bird bath I used 2 marker colors, so this lighter color, and then I'll lay down my darker color and using it a little bit more sparingly, and then I'll blend that darker color with the light marker again. I haven't had any problem blending with these markers. You may have to sort of wipe off the darker color from the light marker brush just sort of on the side with a paper towel, but I haven't had any of my markers ruined that way. And then I'm taking this paintbrush and I'm going to sort of blend it out a little bit more with some water, and you can see it gives such a beautiful blend. So I still am able to keep my shadows, but you have that beautiful sort of light sort of color in the middle that really makes the coloration look so pretty. So I'm going to do the same thing here on the rest of the bird bath. So on the sort of pedestal part, using the same markers, and just leaving a whole area that is uncolored so that I can blend everything with water. I thought I had to blend that area a little bit more, and I was able to blend it nicely with my paintbrush. I'm going to add some blue now to the water. I'm not going to add another color. It's such a small sort of area to color. So I just use this nice sort of aqua blue color. I'm going to move on now to the leaves and the grass. This is such a pretty image. I think that you could make so many different types of cards with this image. So this is like a spring. I just have a, happy spring, hello spring card, but it could be for like a new baby card or a birthday card. Any type of card really. Get well card would be really fun with these images. So whimsical and so happy. So I'm just going to blend out that grass with my paintbrush and just blend and blend until it fades to really nothing. Just went over it a few times with the paintbrush. For the flowers, I'm going to be using two sort of pink markers. This is the darker pink marker. I'm going to put that color towards the base, and then I'll blend it upwards towards the top of the petals with a lighter pink. I'm going to use these same colors for the little flower that's in the sentiment. And then I'll just color the middle with a nice yellow color for the middle part of the flower. I'll do the greenery on the same greens that I used to color the grass and the leaves at the bottom of my card. And then what's really fun about this sentiment is that I was able to color the words. So I used sort of two aqua colors to color the words, and I did not pull my paper down or my page down far enough for you to actually see me coloring. So it's a little bit out of screen. So I apologize for that, but I did the coloring exactly the same way as I did all the other coloring. I created a mask. I used Memento Desert Sand to stamp the image, cut it out of some Eclipse paper, and now I'm using these new brushes that I bought. They are called, I cannot remember what they're called. I will list them at the bottom of the screen here with the product linked. I think they're called Clarity brushes. Anyways, these are beautiful brushes for creating a very, very soft, muted, diffuse sort of shading on your card. I just wanted the blue right around the bird and the top part of the bird bath. I really didn't want it to extend too much further, which is why I just masked that portion off. And you can see what a beautiful, beautiful blend you get with these brushes. I'm going to trim my card front a little bit because I'm going to mat it with some aqua paper. So this is just cut a 1/4 of an inch shorter, or larger on each side. And then I'm going to create a card base. I'm just going to cut my Nina cardstock in half, and then I will use my bone folder to create a crease. And then I can just tape down my card front. Now I didn't align it perfectly, but I was really lucky. I was able to just pull that right off the card front, or the card base rather, and just stick it back down. I did use a white gel pen to add some highlights to the eyes, as well as the cheeks of the birds and the flowers. It just sort of adds a little bit of interest and brings everything more to life. And I added some highlights to the water. And then the final thing I did was just take some Whimsy enamel dots and just sort of scatter them around the card using different colors and different sizes of the dots. And this just adds more whimsy and sort of picks up the different colors that are in the card. And that's it. My card is completed now. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, enjoyed seeing the new stamp release from Whimsy, and seeing some of the new products that I have been using. Thank you so much for watching. You will find a full list of all the products I used and their links below this video on YouTube or on my blog. Bye!